All right. Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Brilliantly Resilient Live. I cannot stop smiling since I got a yes in the Twitter DM from my new buddies, Newsy Jacuzzi. Stop the madness. Is that the greatest name for a
Is that
show?
the coolest name ever? Oh my gosh.
Newsy Jacuzzi. And the people behind Newsy Jacuzzi that you're going to hear all about today are Leela and her mama, coming to us from India by way of the UK and Texas and a few other countries. So we are on the world tour with Newsy Jacuzzi today. You guys, thanks so much for being here.
Yay!
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
This is so exciting. Okay, so I'm trying to contain my excitement and be professional and host a show here, but I can't, Leela. I can't because I love your show. And when you guys said yes on Twitter, I was like, oh my God. And I kept texting Mary Fran. I'm like, Newsy Jacuzzi's coming. And she's like, is that really like their name? Yes. Tell us how it became your name, Newsy Jacuzzi. How did that happen?
Well, we wanted to do a news podcast after we decided we wanted to do a podcast. So then we came up with an idea to do a podcast, and we wanted something that was for kids, but also that's kind of professional. So we actually didn't come up with the name. It was my daddy who came up with the name. So my dad came up with the name, and we were like, oh my goodness, that's perfect. We'll take it.
Which is kind of funny because he's a very serious news journalist.
Yeah.
Very serious. So funny that he should come up with it.
So let's talk about why a kid, thank you, Lord, that there's a kid out there who wants to know what's going on in the news, but why was that important to you? Why did you want to do a news show?
Well, both my parents are journalists, and my daddy reports on news, and my mommy also listens to news a lot. So if I can get a conversation in, I have to know the news.
So great.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
It's so great. So listen up, kids. Here's what Leela is saying to you. She wanted in on the conversations happening in her house with her parents that obviously seemed interesting. So instead of saying, hey, I want you to talk about what I want to talk about, she went and learned about all the different things. So to be a part of the conversation and didn't stop there. So then, Leela, you're like, hey, I think I'm just going to make this into a show. I think that we're going to be best friends forever. Make everything into How did you decide? So you wanted to be in on the conversations about the news, which I think is super cool because you were getting the information firsthand. What's the real deal instead of hearing it from 95 other people? So what made you decide then to turn it into this whole podcast?
Well, I'm a podcast nerd. I wolfed down 1,000 podcasts, and when my favorite podcast stopped posting and now doing different episodes because they can't really socialize and do the more thing, I was like, oh, why? So then I found a new podcast, and now I think I might have talked my old podcast.
Oh, good for you. That's what we love to hear. So when we talk about being brilliantly resilient, you just hit it right there. When something that you love or something that's important to you either goes away or changes, how can you fill that gap? And you stepped in and you filled that gap, but you did it in such a unique way because you're taking news and you're making it accessible to kids. So what kind of a response are you getting from kids? Are kids are kids jumping in on this because they do want to know what happens and they deserve to know what's happening in the world?
Yeah, well, when my teacher, which I really like, when she asked the class to, listen to Newsy Jacuzzi when we were doing a little task, she turned on Newsy Jacuzzi, and my mommy and I were like, oh my goodness. She turned on, and mommy was like, wait, what, really? And I'm like, yeah. And then after that, a few people in the class wanted to join. A few of my friends, one that's not really my friend, but I like, and I'm fond of her, and she's kind of a friend. So she came in the class. She wanted to join, and I was happy. And one of my friends also wanted to join. So we're getting them a little story, and yeah.
It's interesting. We should probably explain that school has started and been going on for about the last month, but we're still in lockdown mode here in India. So
Oh, wow.
it is definitely virtual school. So I was here, we're now sharing our office. The studio / office / guest bedroom is now a classroom also. And I was sitting there, and all of a sudden we heard Newsy Jacuzzi, and I was like, oh, sorry, I thought I had accidentally pressed play on my computer and that she was playing it, but it was her teacher that was playing it to the whole class, which
Oh
was
my gosh.
super cool. And
How exciting.
a lot of Leela's friends, want to join, but it's really cool when people who Leela's not that friendly with or doesn't know very well, and they also want to join. Do you want to talk about how we have guest reporters? Because maybe that's not.
That was my question.
Yes. So we have guest reporters, and now and some of Mommy's friends and also their friends, one friend of theirs joined, and we are happy about that. But yeah, so we have guest contributors because we don't want people to get kind of like bored of just our voices there again and again. So that's we have 2 guest contributors every episode, and yeah, so 2 guest contributors is our maximum number.
Well, we also want to have voices from all over the world.
Yeah.
So, and because I was a foreign journalist, I have a lot of friends who are also foreign journalists all over the world, whose kids are also budding journalists. So they've been able to contribute, but we're totally open to having people we don't even know and get involved too. They just have to let us know that they have a story in their neighborhood that they also want to tell.
Wow, I didn't realize that. I didn't realize this leg of this, that you have other kids coming in and reporting. How cool is that? Has that been hard to manage though, Leela, or do you just go with the flow?
Well, I actually don't edit, so I don't really know.
That's the producer's job. The producer gets all the tough tasks. Leela just lines them up. And then I coordinate with them to try and to get the voice. Of course, everything is done. Everybody's in lockdown mode, so everybody's recording in their own small spaces, and then they send it to us, and I'm the one that does the editing and putting it together here.
So here's what I love about this whole idea that you just talked about. We talk all the time about building a tribe and getting a tribe and a village of people around you. And just by you starting this, you have created a tribe. I mean, people are literally coming to you and asking to join your tribe. And that is so cool, because you know what it tells me? It tells me that there are kids out there that want to be involved, that they want to know what's going on, and that they want to contribute. So you've given them that platform, which is amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah. I have to tell you this quick story on why I just can't stop smiling from watching the 2 of you and listening to how you manage this. So I don't know if you know my backstory, but very briefly, when my boys are now 20 and 17 and my daughter is 16. And when my boys were born, they were born blind. And the thing that was making me so upset was I had my dreams for them. I wanted football players. I wanted baseball players. I thought all these big things. And when I found out they were blind, they weren't going to be able to do all the things I wanted. But I think that's the greatest thing in the world, because I got to watch them figure out what they wanted to do. And I keep telling moms and dads now, our job is to let them explore what they want, and we can guide them. I get them all the resources that they need, and then it's up to them to go chase their own dreams. And I'm hearing that from you guys. You're doing the same thing. Like, Mom is saying that she does the production side, and she's letting Leela out there just kind of figuring this out and cheering her on. It's the most amazing thing to watch. I love it.
So Leela, what kind of news stories do you do? What kind of stuff do you go after? What interests you? And also some of your reporters, what kind of things do you put on the show?
Well, we have, of course, a world wrap, which Mommy does. And we have a big news story of the week, which we choose that we think is a big news story of the week. It's named Big News Story of the Week. Then we have science, which is kind of like sciencey news, and we have tech, which
What's the nickname for science?
The World of Wow.
Oh, I love that.
And then we have tech, and we have our oddball.
An ace.
Oh yeah, sorry, an ace. And then we always end the show with oddball, but we now have our new segment,
5
Fab Facts.
5 fab.
We
Put on the
realized
show.
we realized that a lot of kids seem to be like a lot of general knowledge, and though the whole point about our show is that it's news from around the world. You know, when you're trying to break news stories down for kids, you end up telling the story the opposite way. As a journalist, you always say what's new first, but for a kid, like, they don't understand necessarily where Belarus is, or they don't understand, well, why are there wildfires, or, you know, why do we need an underground sea station? So first you have to kind of explain that there was once this man called Jacques Cousteau, and he wanted to go underground, so he built a capsule. And so you're telling the story the opposite way, right? You're giving all this background information before you actually get to the news. And so we decided that we would end the show picking our favorite 5 facts, like encyclopedia, general knowledge facts that have been told somewhere in the show.
And who wants facts? I mean, facts are fun, but I mean, playing hide and seek and tag is fun. So what if we call them 5 Fab Facts? I mean, maybe that would
Lure people. We don't know why they're called fun facts. Why are they called fun facts?
Yeah, facts. I mean, playing hide and seek.
You know what? You're absolutely right. What's fun about a fact? It's just a fact.
But they can be fab.
But they can be really cool facts. Yeah, I love that. That's amazing.
I'm telling you, we are sisters in the world, because I'm always like, let's make, like, on Thursdays, we have our tribe on Brilliantly Resilient on Facebook. We want them to shout out all the good things they're working on. So we call them Brilliance Brags. Makes it more fun than just say, tell us what you're doing. Brilliance Brag. And we have What's Up Wednesday.
Oh, we are so joining this. Can we join?
Oh, you totally. Oh, you guys are in already. I mean, I hate to break it to you, but
I can
you're.
brag about a lot of stuff.
There you go. You're in. I mean, once we get our hooks in you, we just don't let go. So you're in. That's the way it
There's
goes.
no place where I can brag.
Now you have a home to brag.
Yep, every Thursday. And look, and yesterday I went on live to brag about for something that I did. So that's what because we love we love the fun, and we love cheering each other on, because honestly, that's how me and Mary Fran, I think that's part of how we came together, that's just how we're wired. You know, life is hard. Some stuff hits you hard. And then if you have people in your tribe that can cheer and make things a little more fun, and you know, a Thursday's boring. It's not Friday, so let's make it fun, you know?
I like it. I like it.
So what I really loved about what you just said was that you provide background, you provide a context for kids to understand these stories. I mean, I have a bunch of grandkids, like, I don't know, 6. There's another one coming. There's a whole lot of them. Anyway,
Oh, wow.
the oldest one is 6, and she's a little girl, and I'm looking at you, and you remind me of her. You're obviously a little older than her, but I see her sometimes trying to process things. And it's not always easy, because all of these big words, you know, we adults, we get it. We understand the context. So we immediately start talking in the context, but kids don't have that. So by you giving them a background, it gives them a place to start. And that's what I'm guessing you're trying to do, right?
I would say that's something we're pretty passionate about, because, you know, I think as a parent, that's what we do naturally, as you just said, parent, grandparent, we naturally talk like that and communicate like that with kids. And as a journalist, that's my favorite aspect of being a journalist, is taking something that's really complicated, and maybe even that people think is really boring as well, and somehow or another try to make it pop and come alive and make them understand it, because life is complicated, and other people's stories, people usually don't want to know too much about if it's complicated, right?
Yeah.
And we also try and explain words, like define words, and it's a bit like that the book, the Fancy Nancy books.
Love
Oh my gosh, my granddaughter wears Fancy Nancy all the time. Crazy
Love
Fancy Nancy fan.
I love that style, you know, of introducing words by saying, you know, let me think of a big word. Effervescent is a fancy word for bubbly.
I never knew that.
You never know, you know. And you know, so we try and like, you know, put those words in in the script and in the podcast too, so that kids can kind of understand. The one that do you want to talk about resurgence?
Yeah.
Do you remember?
No.
It was a long time ago.
Like, no, I don't know how to describe it.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
What is that?
Um,
What am I doing?
yeah, you're pushing me.
I'm pushing you. So when we did the first podcast, I think it was, I was trying to talk about how the virus is having a resurgence. So in the middle of us doing it, I said resurgence, you know, like resurgence, like this. it was a bit dramatic like that.
When we were doing it, I actually didn't laugh. I was like, Mama, she actually take a laughing clip of somewhere else.
I had to make it seem like I hadn't hurt my poor child while I was recording. She didn't find it very funny at first. But then I was like trying to explain that this is what the word means. It means to push forward. And then you just keep using it. So I like that aspect of trying to break things down. Yeah.
Yeah. So Leela, when you pick stories, what appeals to you? What's the kind of thing that gets your mind working? Like, what do you want to know about?
Well, I want to know about fun stuff. I want to know about stuff that has cool facts, but like as we were just talking about, that is easy explained. So I want to know about fun stories that have a funny twist, because I always like laughing. But I also want to know stuff that you think it's gonna be like, oh, I know these microbes are gonna never wake up, or I think these the cook is never gonna master this thing, because like they've given hints that they're never gonna do it, but then the little twist is that they actually do.
Fun with a twist. Oh, you are speaking our language. Fun with a twist. We love that.
Do you remember when we were trying to decide between two stories a few weeks ago? And I said, well, I think we should really go with the fact that the Democrats and the Republicans in America are about to have their convention, and the presidential race and the biggest democracy in the world is about to, or oldest, is about to take off, and we should do, the politics in America. And Leela was like, And I said, well, and there's also really big news about glaciers melting and the effect that it might have on the earth. And she's like, yeah, we should do that one.
The glaciers. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, we're not too keen on what the Democrats and Republicans are doing right now either. So let's stick with the glacier story.
Yeah, I'd rather see a big
We're
chunk
with you
of
on
ice
that one.
melt. Yeah.
So we have to get her take on our edit meetings. Yes, I have to pay attention to what a kid might want. And the interesting thing is, there are loads of stories about animals.
Yeah.
Why is it as adults, as journalists, as communicators, we stop doing these stories? Unless it's a really funny story that, there's a video of a bear on a crossing a train track or something. But every week we could do stories on animals. We do stories on animals all the time. Kids love animal stories. Why is it as adults we sort of seem to be not interested anymore in animal stories? There's a natural curiosity that kids have.
Probably because they think it's too kiddish. But kids are like, no, we want to learn about it.
Yeah.
Well, and you know what though, Leela, I think what that does is it joins us, it helps to connect us with the world. I mean, we as adults, we tend to compartmentalize things, like put things in boxes. But what you're doing is showing us that the world is a lot of stuff. It's not just those things that adults think are important. And it's really important that we as adults have that perspective, and you're bringing that to us. So I think that's a really valuable thing that you're doing.
Thank you.
So I have to be honest here and tell you, this is very shocking news. On this animal thing, I was not a dog person until the beginning of Corona. Right before Corona began, my kids drove me nuts for years, and we rescued 2 dogs. We went for 1, Leela, and we came home with 2. I don't still know how that happened. We have dogs, but I have to tell you, these dogs, through this whole lockdown and all the stress and all that, have become my kids and I say every single night, how did we live without these dogs in our lives? They drive me crazy though, I will tell you, they drive me crazy. However, there's something, I was never an animal person until living with these two wackadoodle dogs and watching what they did for all of us. And it's been amazing. So now I will back you on the whole, we need more animal stories in the adult world, because there's something pretty amazing about connection with animals.
So
Well,
let me
and
ask you. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, do you want to tell her about does she know about the new aging for dogs? Do you want to tell her about that?
Well, yeah. They've actually found out that all their aging for dogs have gone completely wrong. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we used to just say a dog year, one dog year is like 7 human years.
Right.
But then they realized that actually that's completely wrong, that a 2-year-old dog can be middle-aged, that biologically and physically, it's just that their middle-age process, their middle-age stage is hugely long, isn't it? It's like most of their life is middle-age, and then they have a little bit at the end that's really, really old age, and then they have a little bit at the beginning. But the idea that a 2-year-old dog is a teenager is out of the window now. So you'll have to check out that episode.
Wow.
I'm gonna have to go listen to that, because that would certainly explain my dog Sassy, sort of. I don't know. Every time I think I figure her out, right? But then
that totally explains Sassy. That is exact. Well, see, now you just solved a problem for us, because we are trying to figure out Sassy, and I think you just handled it for us. So thank you for that. So like, I'm just looking at Kristen's and my reaction to you. What reaction do you get from other adults? Are they like, this is the coolest thing ever? Because it's a tool, like you're giving them a tool to talk about the news with their own kids.
Well, we haven't seen anyone.
Oh.
We're in lockdown here. We're in serious lockdown. It's been 6 months, y'all.
Oh my gosh. Well, let me just tell you, you're clearly having an effect on adults, because if we are this affected by you, I am sure that your followers and that the parents of your followers are just looking at you like, this is such an amazing tool. And in fact, I have to tell my daughter-in-law to get my little Emma on this, because she's got to watch this. She's got to hear you guys and hear about what you're doing to make the news something that kids can get involved in. I just love this so much.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you. I suppose the thing that Leela's hearing the most, maybe she's being too humble to say, which is impressive. I guess most people have been saying how they're just really they can't believe how well you speak, and neither can I.
I have a feeling that has to do with Mama and Papa, listening to Mama and Papa, right? I tend to, your vocabulary is probably quite expansive.
Well, it can be colorful at times, but yeah, we edit that out.
I can relate to that.
We edit out all, One thing that we tell the guest reporters, because I think they hear Leela and I doing our thing, and they think we don't make any mistakes. But as y'all know, like, you just edit out all the mistakes, right? Like, just chop, 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 edit. So there's a lot of editing and redoing that goes on. Sometimes we have to say the same line several times.
Yeah, well, sometimes when Mommy's having a hard time when she's fighting with the phone and the mics and stuff, I keep laughing, and she's like, and I'm like, but I can't help myself. And sometimes when she's doing lines, I just can't help myself, and I'm like, but I just don't laugh.
And sometimes I get frustrated because I'm on a schedule, but I have to stop and remember that this is the bit that she likes the best. Tell them where we record.
Under the bed.
Stop.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That is the best. But you know what that tells me too? And this is another lesson that you're giving to people. You don't have to have fancy to make a contribution, right? You just make the decision. And that's another one of the things that we talk about in Brilliantly Resilient. You just have to take that action step. And you have taken that action step without waiting for everything to be perfect.
Action step from under the bed. I love it.
Yeah, I like doing it under the bed because I have like a little burrow under the bed, and because I love making burrows all over the place anyway. So that's why I am so happy that Mummy's not buying any soundproof, airproof mics, whatever they're called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a little fort.
We do. And our mic is, I see all these other podcasters with super fancy mics, and I was in radio, so I know what the, super fancy mics are. We don't have a super fancy mic.
No.
I love it. I love it because you know what? That is almost always the hang up from people just putting their information and their brilliance into the world. They're waiting on the perfect mic. They want the perfect lighting. No, just grab anything, go into a nice quiet fort under your bed and tell the world your brilliance. It's perfect. It's perfect. I have one more question because this has been on my mind because I really only left the United States to go to Vancouver for like a week for a conference. So I'm interested to know, Leela, tell me about these places you've lived. What is the most interesting country that you've lived in? What is your favorite? What are the things that you love about the country?
I like it because where my I mean, all the houses are really nice and colorful, and there are lots of monuments, and we live near a place with a monument. we live near a place with two monuments today, and
A lot of history.
yeah, a lot of history, and I can tell you one thing that Mummy doesn't like about it.
Do tell.
Driving on the road, there's so many crazy drivers, and she shouts, which is scary.
Anger management issues come out on the road in India.
Yeah, I can relate
That's
to
in
that
Philly
too.
too.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Okay.
We're right
Okay.
there with you. So
So Leela was born in England, but we didn't live there we were just there very briefly.
I also like the place because it's really hot, but I like it because it's hot, and then because otherwise if it wasn't that hot, I mean, we wouldn't be able to go in pools. Come on, everybody likes swimming pools.
that. So I just want to thank you guys. I mean, before we started to record, you said you weren't sure how you fit with us, with the whole brilliantly resilient thing. And everything about you is brilliantly resilient. Every single thing. You take an action step, you have a tribe, you're putting your brilliance out there into the world, you're sharing it with people. You found a need and you just filled it. And my heart is full with you guys today. It's just so amazing to be able to share this time with you. So please tell everybody where they can find Newsy Jacuzzi. Tell us where to find you and how we can listen in.
Our new website.
Yay!
www.newsyjacuzzi.com, right?
Yeah. But we can also be found on all the podcasts.
We can also be found on Podcast Republic, Radio, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, and
Spotify, Google Podcasts, all those
podcast platforms.
And on Twitter, you're Newsy Jacuzzi, right?
Yeah, just Twitter and Instagram both are at Newsy Jacuzzi.
Okay, cool. You
And
guys.
I don't know if y'all have heard, but Leela's begun to get. I think it was your Daddy was saying, every great anchor has a signature. Goodbye and good night and good luck, or wazoo, or whatever it is. And almost by accident, we realized that Leela has a particular way of saying the name of our podcast.
Newsy Jacuzzi.
Oh my gosh. This is the best Friday morning I've had in a very long time. I know it's nighttime where you guys are, but it's morning here, and you started my weekend off right, sweetie. I got to tell you.
Yeah,
Awesome.
love it. You know what I love too? That everything that Mary Fran said about that you guys really are brilliantly resilient. Here's the thing. So many people think they are not brilliantly resilient. They don't realize we all are. It's just uncovering it. And we just uncovered it with you guys today. And now you're helping all the listeners uncover it in themselves. So you just did our job for us. We are thrilled. Come back every week and do our work.
Done. On that bragging Thursday? No.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
Brilliance Brags. Make
Brilliance
sure you're
Brag every
there.
Thursday. Awesome. Okay, well, listen, we also do What's Up Wednesday. So in a few weeks, we're going to have you back and we'll talk about what's up and what's new with the podcast and anything cool. If you're out of lockdown, we'll have all kinds of things to update. I can't wait. You guys have just
That would be
really
great.
made our day.
Post our podcast.
When does the podcast come out? On Wednesdays?
Yeah.
Okay, every Wednesday, folks, listen to that and you'll get the news, you'll get the fun, you'll uncover that you are brilliantly resilient. Newsy Jacuzzi, thank you so much for what you put in the world, and thanks for coming on to talk with us today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Y'all made our weekend. This is
Yeah.
awesome.
All right,
Likewise.
everybody listening, thanks so much for tuning in. If you are still having some issues with uncovering your brilliance and resilience, go to brilliantlyresilient.net/freebies. We got a few things there for you to reset your mindset. We have the Linda Larson Finest and Best activity, which is absolutely phenomenal. And watch for the book coming out soon. And the Uncover Your Brilliance Challenge is on its way. We got a lot going on, folks. Go check it all out at the website, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good week.